Now, on 105.9 FM and streaming worldwide on the WMAL app, O'Connor and Company.
6:07 on O'Connor and Company. And if you drink Celsius as your caffeine delivery system of choice, please be wary. The manufacturer and distributor has announced that some Celsius cans may, in fact, include High Noon, the alcoholic beverage. So as you think you're getting, a little caffeine jolt to start your day, you're actually going to be,
You'll be asleep.
Not everybody reacts that way. Miss Jones at reception might be standing on the table doing a rumba with herself or something. Just either way, be careful, especially if you have any sort of adverse reaction to alcohol. If you're like me and Julie, it's, your lifeblood.
Fine. Oh, sorry.
We'll be just fine. More Celsius over here. Coming up at 7:05, Charlie Spearing on Kamala Harris's decision not to run for governor. 7:35 brings us Steve Moore on the economy. 8:05, KT McFarland. And 8:35, Tim Carney on Steve Descano, allowing brothels to fester and flourish in Fairfax County. That's right, I said fester, flourish in Fairfax. You're welcome. Julie Gunlock, good morning to you.
Good morning.
We dealt with that active shooter situation in New York City earlier this week. And at the time, Eric Adams, the mayor of New York, responded, was on the scene. He's a former police officer himself. And he many observers suggested that this sort of helps him in his bid to run for re-election as an independent on the ticket this time around. Andrew Cuomo didn't have much of a response on it, shockingly, since he is also running for mayor on the independent ticket. Curtis Sliwa, this plays right into his wheelhouse as a Republican who is tough on crime and the continuing deterioration of the quality of life in New York City. And then there's Kami Mamdani, this, of course, the communist running for office, who has only been a citizen of the country for 7 years. He, of course, is a state assemblyman and really hasn't done anything of note, but he's got AOC's endorsement. He puts together really exciting TikTok videos. He won the primary for the Democrats with 42% of the vote, beating Andrew Cuomo. And so now, of course, he is the most electric and exciting Democrat candidate ever.
God.
If you pay attention to the media and, sadly, about how many Democrats are responding to him as well. Well, when this crime took place, the aforementioned Kami Mamdani did not respond, really, because he wasn't even here. He wasn't in New York. He wasn't in the country. He wasn't in America. He was in Uganda for a 10-day vacation while he's running for mayor.
Yeah.
And, by the way, while he was there, because he fashions himself, I come from a third world country and I eat rice with my hands, and I'm in touch with, all of the immigrants who are in this city, and he was at his parents' multi-million-dollar secured compound.
Yes. Yes, he was.
Replete with security gates and masked armed guards. It's good to be Mamdani.
It is.
He finally returned. And yesterday, he pretended like he supports the police. Here is one moment where he was asked specifically, do you wish you hadn't called to defund the police? Here's his answer, cut 10. You tell me what his answer is after listening to this.
Anti-LGBTQ, or that they should be defunded or dismantled. So this is a little bit of what Marcia asked, but as you've grown and reflected, and I feel, in fairness to you, you've been good about talking about growing and reflecting and always having conversations. Do you wish you hadn't said some of those things a few years back?
Can we pause this for a second? Can you believe the way the reporters handled this guy?
Thank you. Nobody talked about that yesterday as I heard this. I mean, can you imagine not being able to answer it when it's framed that way, first of all, because it's so gentle. So gentle.
You've been so good about explaining how you have changed, and in reflection. It's like, all right, let me just be clear. He's only been a public figure for like 5 years. So,
right.
Oh, you've been so good to pause and reflect and explain how you've
It's kind
grown
of you.
and how you've changed.
It's actually kind of you to deign to condescend to speak to us, we
Yes.
lowly people. Like, how kind of you to talk to the plebes. I mean, it is so revolting.
And I'm going to give you the opportunity now to explain how
Yes.
you've grown and changed a little bit upon
Yes.
reflection from your earlier days. You know, your youthful exuberance. He's only been a public figure for 5 years, for crying out loud. And so he says a bunch of crazy things to get attention and to build up the radical base that is supporting him right now. And now, because he needs to get votes of people who aren't quite as insane as he is in New York, he pretends to, oh, that was me and my youthful exuberance. It was 3 years ago.
Yeah.
So, all right, fine. He's put out social media postings like, you know, defund the police. And when we say defund the police, we mean literally defund the police. He also, somebody tweeted out that they had just passed a police officer who was in tears in his car, I think, after a horrific attack against a fellow police officer. And Mamdani reacted to that cheerfully, you know, with a laughing emoji, you know, saying that it made him feel good or something like that. All right, so here he is now that he's had that blistering, really tough question. Here he is, his great opportunity to pivot, sister soldier moment. Here he can appeal to people who aren't in favor of defunding the police. It's lobbed up there like a softball. Let's see how he took it.
My statements in 2020 were ones made amidst a frustration that many New Yorkers held at the murder of George Floyd and the inability to deliver on what Eric Adams, of all people, described as the right for all of us to be able to enjoy safety and justice, that we need not choose between the two.
Did you hear an answer there?
No.
Well, I heard
No.
a doubling down on what he said in 2020.
Yeah. Mixed with a little bit of word salad, Kamala-esque word salad. Yeah.
Then, of course, in cut 12 here, he does explain how much he loves the police. You know why he loves the police? Here, listen to cut 12. You'll hear why he loves the police.
My life is sadly not the one that it was. There are far more threats, and with that comes precautions that I wish I didn't have to take, though they are also precautions that I am immensely grateful for, especially in the example of the NYPD detail that I have here in New York City.
Yeah, he loves his cops because he gets a security detail that protect him. And he's like, oh, because there's so many threats against me. There's a threat against every New Yorker when they ride the subway.
Is he forgetting there were New Yorkers just murdered this
That's
week?
right. They didn't have an armed security detail.
The security guard in the building didn't have a gun. Wasn't allowed to.
That's right. Well, and here we go, cut 11, after pretending like he loves the police because he gets a security detail, after refusing to denounce his own words saying defund the police, now he gets to the root of the problem. Cut 11.
Workers across the 5 boroughs and Americans across the country mourn this mass shooting. We are reminded that no matter how strong our gun laws are in this state, we are only as safe as the weakest laws in this nation. And so in this moment, the onus is on all of us
In
to
this
follow
moment.
the words of Alain's brother and to put forward a vision of stronger gun laws. And I echo the call from Governor Hochul for a nationwide ban on assault rifles.
There you go. So, again, word salad, very poetic, very majestic, very soaring. All the words, and they all say in this moment. That's the key phrase now for all these socialists. In this moment, this is the moment, in this moment. And what does he do running for mayor? He calls for something that he will literally have no power to implement. He calls for a nationwide ban on assault weapons, whatever the hell an assault weapon is, because any weapon is used to assault somebody if necessary. And it's something that the mayor of New York will have absolutely no control or influence over. And so it's a beautiful thing. It's perfect politics. It's perfect BS politics. I want to be your mayor so I can implement a national ban. Really, how are you going to do that in your powers as mayor? Oh, I can't. I can't. Thanks for asking.
And sadly, this kind of word salad does appeal to a certain number of people who actually show up and vote. That is Gen Z. That is some millennials. That is the youth vote. That's very active in New York.
Absolutely work. Why are you voting for Zohran Mamdani? Because he wants a national ban on assault weapons.
That's right.
Well, you realize that the mayor literally can't do anything about that. I know, but he stands for something.
That's right. That's exactly
New York
it.
gets what they deserve. It's 6:17.
Coming up, we'll talk about Wes Moore's new podcast. God, what a bore. Keep it here at 6:30.
WMAL-FM, Woodbridge, Washington. A Cumulus media station. Making sense of the news. News Talk 105.9. News now. Now on 105.9 FM and streaming worldwide on the WMAL app. O'Connor and Company.
It's 6:37. It's O'Connor and Company. Coming up at 7:05, Charlie Spearing, who wrote the book on Kamala Harris called Amateur Hour. We'll get his impression of her decision not to run for governor of California. 7:35, Steve Moore, economist. 8:05, K2 McFarland. And then at 8:35, Tim Carney is going to follow up on that story we just discussed, the brothels openly operating in Fairfax County. If we can get the Attorney General on that. Isn't that a state law? Get the state against that? I think we could.
Yeah.
That'd be great. That'd be a good thing, especially in an election year. Get the Attorney General actually, sending some state police in there to bust him up and show how bad Steve Descano is and how he cares about the people of Fairfax more than their own elected officials. That would be good. It's Larry O'Connor with Julie Gunlock. Good morning, Julie.
Good morning.
Let's turn our sights back to Maryland, though. Wes Moore is the governor of Maryland, and he's running for president. I know that he's running for president because he constantly says he's not running for president. That's a telltale sign.
That is.
George Clooney has already identified him as the candidate to watch.
God.
And Wes Moore's track record so far as Maryland governor is he made a whole lot of promises to win the election. Larry Hogan, of course, who didn't like the Republican nominee, decided to just sit it out and spend time in New Hampshire testing the waters to run for president. So he didn't have anything negative to say about Wes Moore, which is always going to be a disappointment for me. Here's Larry Hogan, a popular Republican governor, 2 terms, relatively successful despite some missteps during the pandemic. And he could have used all that popularity. He didn't have to like Mr. Cox. And I understand why he was angry at Mr. Cox. Let's not forget, the nominee for the Republicans, Mr. Cox, had actually called for the impeachment of Larry Hogan during the pandemic. So, I mean, there's some water under the bridge there. Sure. I get it. But if you love Maryland and you love the Republican Party and you love your own legacy, you might want to say some negative things about the guy who is going to ruin it all.
Yeah, we're not asking for full-court press praising of Cox. Just maybe say this is how things are going to go. I
know for a fact he has a way of campaigning against people without actually campaigning for the person he doesn't like, because during the presidential election, he was quite negative about Hillary Clinton. He didn't like Hillary Clinton at all, and he didn't vote for Hillary Clinton. He didn't support Hillary Clinton, and at the same time, he didn't like Donald Trump.
He could have done it. Absolutely. He chose not to.
He figured it out.
Yeah.
And he didn't do that with Wes Moore. And so now Wes Moore is the governor, and he's done everything. He has gone back on every campaign promise. He said he wouldn't raise taxes. He just had to raise taxes. Why? Yep. And he keeps saying, well, it's only 92% of Marylanders didn't see their taxes increase. That's a hell of 8% is a pretty big number, actually, if you think about it, number one. Number two, a lot of that 8% are going to leave Maryland, which actually leaves a bigger tax burden for the people who are remaining. Number three, it's a lie, because go ahead and try to re-up your registration in Maryland and see how much more it's going to cost you. And that's for every Marylander. He may not like to call that a tax, but it is a tax to re-register, especially with the dollar amounts that he put in there. And he raised taxes on a ton of different things. And he had to, because he withered away the surplus that the aforementioned Larry Hogan had handed him. Well, now he's going on a damage control
tour
campaign. And, oh, by the way, he's running for re-election. So, no matter how this campaign goes, coming up here against Wes Moore, hopefully the Republican candidates can put a real dent in him to tarnish him before he runs for national office. But he did sit down he doesn't do a lot of interviews, Julie. We've asked. He won't come on this show.
Right.
The last Democrat who was governor of Maryland used to come on this show on a semi-regular basis, actually. Do you remember his name? It'd be
No.
Martin O'Malley. Martin O'Malley.
Oh, well.
You remember Martin.
I
Martin
do.
O'Malley used to come on the show on a regular basis. Not Westmore. Westmore can't. In fact, he doesn't do much of any local media. He only does national stuff now. And so now he sat down with a national reporter, Major Garrett, Jake Tapper.
Right.
No.
Yeah.
He sat for the podcast headed up by the former chairman of the Democratic National Committee, Jamie Harrison.
It's like Jen Psaki's show, right?
Yes. Whose last big get was Hunter Biden, by the way. So here's Westmore. Listen to Westmore talk about the systemic racism in our country and rationalize that try to make sense out of this. This is Westmore demsplaining to you, okay? You have to be a Democrat or have an advanced degree in anthropology at a liberal arts college in America to understand the point he's making as he describes how racist our judicial system is, our criminal justice system, our education system. And then at the end he explains, and that's why black men voted for Trump. I kid you not. Listen.
It is true that we have a justice system that has been targeting and weighted against black men. We have an education system that has been deliberate about the way that we are criminalizing and punishing black boys when we're watching the results of our young black boys continue to downgrade, and we are actually then turning around and blaming the black boys for their failure. Not the system, not the structure, but the young men.
Yeah.
Blaming them. We do have a system of employment where we make it more difficult for black men to be able to enter into the employment market. We do have a system that makes basically every sentence a life sentence, that when someone comes back from incarceration, we make it deeply challenging for them to be able to get public housing, challenging for them to be able to get a student loan, challenging for them to get a home loan, challenging for them to reintegrate with their families. And then we wonder what's going on with the black men and why they're not voting for us.
Oh, man.
Can you explain that to me? So did he just basically concede that all of those roadblocks and all of those problems and all that racism is the Democrats' fault?
Democrats? Interesting.
Right. I mean, I guess that's what he's saying. So now vote for more Democrats. So Obama did all of that? Is that what he's saying?
Yeah. Well, it's funny. You see this a lot in for instance, in Alexandria after the George Floyd thing. They were saying how racist Alexandria is, what a terribly racist city, and we need all these changes to the education system, changes to the health system, because Alexandria has been in Democratic control for 150 years.
Thank you.
I
was saying that about Montgomery County.
Yeah.
During that, it's like Montgomery County is so racist, systemically racist. Like, you guys have been running things.
And you look at...
And so the racists are going to fix it?
But also, you look at the city leadership, from the police chief to the fire chief to the mayor to the... Yeah. It was a lot of African Americans. So,
of course.
What are we talking about here?
No, it's all Ronald Reagan's fault. All right, we've got more on this interview, more from Westmore. I have so much to say about that last cut, though, even beyond the... we wonder why they're not voting for Democrat after laying out how racist everything is. And that's why they voted for Trump. Oh, well, there's actually some truth to that. I'll get to that in a moment. It's 6:44.
Later this morning on the Chris Plante Show, the Democrats are wondering, did Russia cause the tsunami to hit the West Coast in order to help Trump and the Republicans? 9 a.m. on WMAL.
This Westmore, the governor of Maryland, is such a charlatan. And here he is sitting for this podcast with Jamie Harrison, former DNC chair, and he's going on this whole litany about how racist everything is, and the education system is horrible, and the judicial system's horrible, and the incarceration of black men is terrible, and that's why they voted for Trump, which is hilarious because he's blaming it all on Democrats. That's right. But number two, there is some truth to it because black men in America are sick and tired of the bull they've been fed. Yep. These liberal politicians keep stepping up there and saying, yeah, we're going to fix it all. Well, they're the bad guys. We're the good guys. We're going to fix it all. And meanwhile, here's Westmore kind of conceding that, we've been the problem. We've been the problem. So, of course, they voted for Trump. And actually, life is better under Trump. All right, that's number one. Number two, think about this for a second. Westmore lays out all of these things that are keeping black men down. and make it impossible for black men to succeed. Wes Moore is a black man. Wes Moore is the governor of Maryland. Wes Moore is a multi-millionaire, which I think his investment fund needs a lot of scrutiny, by the way.
Yeah.
How did Wes Moore do it? How is Wes Moore that transcendent? Is that, I mean, if the system is so racist, how did it allow someone like Wes Moore to slip through the cracks? He must think a hell of a lot of himself. But the fact of the matter is, the reason why Wes Moore succeeded is because his parents put him in a private school.
Yeah.
And he was steered toward a military career, which taught him character and discipline and doing the right thing. And yet every single solution that Wes Moore has for all the rabble, all the other people, all the lesser people beneath him are not anywhere near the solutions that Wes Moore enjoyed. He wants to drag down public. He doesn't even want school choice. He wants to keep parents from being able to put their kids in private school. He doesn't recommend all of those things that help Wes Moore succeed and transcend all of the ills of society that he's laying out there, because Wes Moore is special, don't you know?
Well, the thing is, too, is that, I mean, you look at polling of the black community and what the Democrat Party, their big priorities are. It's transing kids. It's destroying women's sports. It's the LGBT community's priorities. It is not in any way to strengthen the family or to give economic opportunities or to give people more choices with school choice. You know, the Democrats take such advantage of these minority people who suffer the most because of these policies. But
and they
again,
take them for granted because they've been able to take
the social issues, these incredibly liberal social issues, are not issues that the black community and the Hispanic community care about.
Yeah, and then so Jamie Harrison asks him, why do you think Kamala Harris lost? Because Kamala Harris is basically saying everything you're saying right now, and yet she lost. Here's cut 14. See if you can get an answer out of this.
What do you think the vice president could have done differently, or the campaign could have done differently to help her get over the finish line in 24?
You know, I mean...
Or maybe you say, I don't know if there's anything.
Honestly, I don't know.
Yeah.
And honestly, part of it, I haven't put much thought.
You haven't. And I get that.
And you know, so I don't know. I mean, I think, listen, it's always challenging when, you know, if such a large percentage of the country, rightly or wrongly, feel the country is going in the wrong direction. It's just difficult to be the vice president.
Yeah.
To come into that. So the thing is, I mean, so I don't know what she could have done differently or whatever happened. I mean,
there you go. So he won't do anything different than Kamala Harris. Vote for me. I have no idea why Kamala Harris lost, and I'll probably do the same thing. Vote for me.
I mean, it's very simple. All he has to say is put a sentence together, like talk like a normal person. There's so many answers.
All right. There was more in this interview that I want to get to. We don't have time right now, but hopefully we'll be able to revisit it later in the program. It's 6:52.